Summer's over, which means bike rides are done, which means I can now take apart my rat rod bike and start working on it some more. Aww. You see, my big old cake needs a big old seat. And luckily, my favorite maker showed me what I wanted to do with it 6 years ago. Oh, look at little baby Laura, too shy to speak on camera. You see, Laura showed me like how it could be done, but she didn't really explain how she did it. So that's where I'm gonna take this video. Nick Miller out. All right, we're gonna start off with this old skateboard. We're just gonna get basic connection points of where the seat post and the shocks are gonna attach to the bike. I sketched on the basic shape of the seat that I wanted and cut it out with a jigsaw. If you're wondering how I came up with this shape, it's pretty much like a reverse mullet. Party in the front, business in the back. Now we gotta figure out where this hardware is gonna go to connect the seat to the bike. Check out this old Schwinn seat. It's got these springs on there, they look really good, but we don't really need the padding. Got it down to pretty much the skeleton, and this is gonna be our connection point for the front. And it totally doesn't look like a robot.
Winnie!
What? I said it didn't. Now the existing holes for the skateboard truck will not work for this project. I need to put it back so that way it supports my 2-ton dumper. So it turns out the seat is too wide and my thighs are too thick. I'm going to turn this double spring front end into a single spring by just using a couple clamps. And we should be ready to rock. Now that we know that all the hardware fits just right, I'm actually going to add these wood threaded inserts. Took me a while to say. That way I can just kind of take this thing apart, put it back together without really stressing out the wood too much. I had to clean up these chewed up trucks with a flat sander real quick. And with the trucks installed, it's time for a little test. Now with those wood inserts sticking out, we need some padding. For this, I'm just using those gym mats. You know, the ones that like interlock together like Legos. Anyway, we're gonna cover both sides with rubber cement. Make sure to use this stuff in a well-ventilated area. If you want an interesting afternoon, don't. Once that rubber cement is set up, like after 5 minutes, you're gonna carefully place the two together and put some good weight on there, and that's gonna permanently fuse these things together. To further sculpt this foam, I'm going to use an electric turkey carver. You can pick one of these up in the back of your cabinet. It's a wedding gift you'll never use because we don't host shit.
I'll kill you.
With that dense foam completely done, we're going to put some squishy foam on there as like that top layer. Pretty much just using rubber cement once again. And then literally wrapping this up in some old fabric and a staple gun. Now I know what you might be thinking.
The bird lady from Home Alone 2 can get it.
No. Tony, did you just steal Laura's idea and make a video out of it? I'm innovating it. See, being a good part of the maker community is being able to be yes-anding. It's improv, baby. Yes, I did build a skateboard seat just like Laura did. And I'm adding shocks to it. You don't have to reinvent a whole new idea. You just have to innovate on it. And that's how this community grows. So let's get some suspension on this thing. Because I know you're on the edge of your seat. Before we start building anything, we got to figure out how tall these shocks need to be. This hole in the yardstick fits perfectly like on the axle. And that way I can just kind of pivot it up for an accurate measure. I'm not gonna lie, it took me a while to kind of figure out the supplies for this thing, but I think I got it pretty well figured out. I started off with this 1-inch steel pipe that was actually left over from stretching out the bike frame. Worked perfect for this application. The only problem is the inside of it has this like little seam in there. We got to get rid of that thing. Easiest thing I found was to lube it up, get a wire brush, and try to smooth it out the best you can. Turns out all that friction gets kind of hot. Might want to wear some gloves. I found these to be like the perfect size to clean up that spacing between the two pipe sizes. The only problem is we have to get rid of the lip in order to make it fit in there. First thing I tried was just to get the old-fashioned X-Acto knife and carefully cut off that lip. Kinda sketchy, but it worked. Next I tried a step drill bit for metal. Way more efficient, way more sketchy. But once again, we got there. Now we just need to take a 1/2-inch piece of conduit and we're gonna add a bushing on the bottom that has a lip on it still. I'm also gonna put a rubber cork on there. It's gonna keep the bushing from moving and just in case the shock bottoms out. Now on the top of the pipe, we're gonna take one of those bushings that we cut the lip off and slide it into place. Had to cut another bushing, and this time I used a little bit of heat to kind of soften up that plastic and hopefully it kind of gets a better fit on there.
Get over here!
Then I just got a copper pipe reducer and that just seemed to kind of seal everything in. With that in place, add the spring, and let's start working on the ends of this thing. Now with these pipe ends, I did have to order it online from a place called Maker Pipe. I think they have really cool projects, but I was a little, we'll say hesitant to use it because there was a bit of slop on these things. I think it's a good product. I don't think it's the best product for this application. Thank God I'm a hoarder because these leftover spacers from a TV wall mounting kit worked perfect to fill up that gap on the trucks. Now this shock worked very okay, but there was a couple problems with it. We're just trying stuff here. Those Maker Pipe ends were a little too big, a little too sloppy. Luckily, I bought some of this stuff. It's super sturdy, it doesn't take up nearly as much room. Plus, I added a stop collar to it so that way I can actually adjust the heights on it, and that way both shocks are at the same height, which was a big problem that I had with the first version of the shocks. So the seat's done, and it is shocking. We might have added more weight to this bike, but we added so much more comfort, which was the whole idea of this bike build in the first place. Now that I know it's possible, and it's 90% perfect, we just need to tinker on that last 10% to make absolute perfection on this thing. The shape isn't quite right, the fabric's not waterproof, and the shocks kind of separate when there's upward force on it. Solve that problem with the spring, but still when I lift up in the seat, the shocks disassemble a little bit. So I invite you, if you can find a way to take these shocks and keep them from falling apart when you actually lift it up, film it, show me, tell me, something, and that way you're helping out the maker community. Speaking of that community, if you're digging my crap, you should check out Laura Comp's videos. And I'm so happy to announce she's back! Yeah, she was working on a house for a little bit, but now she's just finding trash around LA and making some weird ass shit. I am so into it. I'm hoping she finds a bike soon, because I love her old bike builds. So with this seat done, we can get the rest of this bike rolling. Okay, so we got a good chunk of the bike started, but we have a long way to go. But before I get going on the bike and winter is on its way, this corner has been an absolute disaster for God knows how long. So I gotta get that, winterize it, and then try to get some better storage in there because it looks awful. And don't look over there. I said don't look over there. God damn. In case you're down on the lips. Who's your daddy?